So ever since Avengers Endgame hit home media, people have been digging into that film, looking at every single frame, trying to find out little details, and of course when you reference back to some other things that have been said and established in the MCU, there's a few continuity things and what people would call plot holes. Today we're going to talk about a major one involving the one and only Captain America and Mjolnir, Thor's hammer. Now, of course, no film is free of continuity errors or, plot holes or anything. This is just something that gets brought up, especially when you have a ever-growing universe like this. If you're a one and done, you usually are pretty safe, but the bigger your universe gets, specifically with 20 plus films, TV shows, and everything, it stands to reason that somewhere you're going to fumble a little bit. And that's exactly what happens. During Captain America's scene in Avengers Endgame, we see that Captain America himself, Steve Rogers, of course, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the movie somehow, gets a hold of Mjolnir, which is Thor's hammer. Now, that's all fine and great because he's worthy of picking it up. We've talked about this before. He just didn't want to pick it up in Age of Ultron. But here's the big problem. He can summon lightning with it. Now, if you go back and look at how it's established of what the lightning is, specifically in Thor Ragnarok, it raises some questions because of how Thor summons it, so why can Captain America do it? Well, the writers of Avengers Endgame have sat down with quite a few websites, and I'm going to put one in the description down below in case you guys want to read the entire thing, but for right now, we're talking about why Captain America can do this and the plot hole that it makes, and here is what they had to say. There was certainly a debate at one point because particularly in Ragnarok, it establishes that Thor can summon the lightning without the hammer. I think Odin even says, "It was never the hammer," and yet Cap summons the lightning with the hammer. You get to these things and you're like, it's too awesome not to do it. We'll talk about it later. So right then and there, they acknowledged that they knew they were writing a plot hole. Now, the interesting part, to me at least, is when it says that they'll get to it later. Why? And how are you gonna do this? Because I presume Steve Rogers isn't coming back, but maybe they'll address why that was able to happen. And, like they say in Ragnarok, yeah, the lightning, it's not from the hammer. So what gives? It could be, I guess, one of multitude of things. And I'm going to guess that Marvel Studios is going to play this like they played most other plot holes that were, placed in the early MCU. They're going to go back to it and they're going to explain it in some interesting way. And of course, we do have another film coming out, Thor: Love and Thunder. So there, Jane will be wielding the hammer, and I think this is going to explain why she can summon lightning, and at the same time, that'll explain why Thor doesn't need it, but some other characters can use it. But, that's coming in a few years from now, so we're just going to have to wait and see. But for right now, what do you guys think of their explanation?